Konstantin Dimopoulos is an artist. He's a painter, but he's also a sculptor. And how did you get from painting to sculpting? What influenced you?
Well, as an artist, as most artists, we kind of go between the two. And,
sure.
But I guess at one stage I started to do installation work, which was in museums and art galleries. And so I guess what kind of moved me into the area that I'm in at the moment is in Wellington, where I live, when we moved from Egypt to New Zealand. And Wellington is one of the most windiest cities in the world. And the Sculpture Trust in the city really wanted to promote wind instead of looking at it as a negative. They wanted to look at it as a positive.
As a power source?
No, not so much. Well, they do use it as a power source, but they're trying to kind of generate an aspect of art, using art to actually create a feeling of you know, positiveness about the wind. And so they came and they said, can you give us some ideas? And I just drew some lines in the ground, and they said, we'll develop that up. And then it became these linear works, which kind of just move in the breeze. Sometimes they're cubic, so that they become quite abstract.
Is that it there?
One of those is by a lake there. It's you know, they're basically as a fan shape, and the wind just moves them in and out and creates quite a beautiful, I guess, natural simplicity of movement.
How lovely.
That other work that's just on there now is really made of steel, but it's reflected almost into a tree form. So I guess I'm always working in the environmental aspect, and a lot of them are really. I use reds or yellows, or it's a kind of a simple environment. It links to the environment in some ways.
Sure. You seem, as an artist, to have a bit of a tree and grass thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess I think most artists are influenced by the environment. I mean, really what we're doing is actually reflecting, you know, what environment we're in. Whether it's an urban environment, you get a graffiti artist responding to that. Living in New Zealand and living in a country that's quite just like Canada, very green, very open. I responded to the movement of grasses. I responded to the idea of like, we've also got gorse, and which is a plant which, when planted in England, only flowers once, but in New Zealand it becomes a virus. It just grows everywhere. I don't know if you've got something similar here in in Canada. It's
invasive.
Invasive. But I actually saw that I actually developed as I saw that the actual plant itself wasn't evil. You know, they have the plant was doing what came naturally. The plant was trying to survive, and the way that it survived, it just grew more and more. So people put kind of a word onto a plant that's saying it's evil, but in fact, a plant is doing what is natural to it.
Of course, it's like alder, the weed of the woods, and you can weave beautiful chairs out of alder. And as you know, our grasslands are disappearing, and we have a lot of sagebrush rolling across the prairies. So to restore grasslands and hold the water and feed the cattle and do all the things you have to do in life, if we get a little more sensible.
Absolutely. Well, I think everything is interrelated. That's the thing. We're all linked. Everything but I think we've actually moved away from that sense of, and myself included, you know, living in an urban environment. It was only when I went to Melbourne, where there's a lot of trees, that I started to, like you said, look up and saw these incredible canopies, you know, that and I thought, once upon a time, this is where we came and prayed. This was the first architecture. And from that, then we moved somewhere else.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've progressed and made anything better. We've made it easier for ourselves, but we've actually created a lot of damage as well in all that.
Yes. The mystics will tell you that you can get energy from a tree. If you're having a not so good day, stand up beside a big tree and just soak it in.
No, look, I believe there's a lot of power that I think Aboriginals have that we have absolutely lost. That connection is gone. And we try to do it, I guess what I've said to people in Port Moody and Richmond, that the trees we plant in the urban community are really cosmetic in some way. They're there to make us happy, but they don't live their full life. There's policies where there's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, because we can't allow a tree just to fall down in an urban environment, because it could cause some damage. So in many respects, it's that, I guess, what the Blue Tree Project is about the all forest, and trying to get the urban community aware about it. So,
and it's a great starter for conversation, and conversation is so important. So as you suggest, a little kid walks down the street and says, "Dad,
That's right.
Blue tree. And
That's
Dad
right.
says, don't be silly.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
he said, no, Dad, really.
Yeah.
Blue tree.
That's it. That's it. Yes.
Why is it important for you to be part of the Vancouver Biennale, which is so I think it's so spectacular.
Well, I think again, it's just the Biennale is generating a lot of ideas, and public art is hugely important to communities. I don't think people realise how important it is. It actually humanises space, just like in our home or in the studio, you've put artworks on the wall, you have flowers, you do something. There is a reason why you don't just have an empty house and live just sitting down. The city is also doing the same thing.
Very much so, and it's positive and it's provocative.
Absolutely.
And even if it's Ms. Mao on the head of Lenin, you still talk about it, and then you find out about the artists who put it together and their past, and you have a conversation around that, and it's even more magical. So your installations, Port Moody, done.
Yeah, it's, no, Port
well,
Moody,
as done as it can be.
No, we're heading to Port Moody again after this to complete.
Okay.
So I'll be there today and then tomorrow outside the Arts Centre in Port Moody, and then we go to West Vancouver to complete.
Oh,
there.
good.
Yeah, so we're going to your place. That's right.
Great. You can come into my house, paint a few. I've got a few cedars.
Okay,
you can.
Well, we'll be there. Just be careful.
Oh, I'm being careful, yes. Actually, you could paint the house if you'd like to, because it needs a little coat. I don't think blue for the house. I like the house to meld in with the woods, you know.
Absolutely.
How nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Lovely to meet you too.
Thank you. Konstantin Dimopoulos, he's an artist, extraordinary artist.